Dice is a Google Sheets add-on that tries to do the same sorts of things that you can do with Excel slicers. So hopefully you've already got it installed from the Google Sheets add-on store. And you can have a look at all the things that Diceos can do in the other video, which I'll give the link to in the comments. So this video is about what's new in version 2. So let's get right into it. We're just in the sidebar, and they show a representation of the unique values that are present in the sheet, and then you can use that to filter on by selecting them, just like slices in Excel. So let's look at what's new. First of all, duplicate headings. Now, it used to be in version 1 that if you had duplicate headings, then you would only be able to see the first one. But now you'll notice that we've got an opportunity for a second one here. Let's put them all up, and it's automatically renamed them as something unique. So next up, let's look at blank headings. Previously you wouldn't be able to have a table with a separator like this. It didn't have a heading, but now you can. You see, it's just called it the A1 notation type column heading name, and you can use that just like any other dicer that's got a real heading. So we can find the empty rows, filter on that, for example. Now you can also have a completely blank column, and again it applies the A1 notation column heading to that. Of course, everything's empty. What if your table is not starting at the top left hand corner of your sheet? Well, in the previous version you would have needed to go to settings and data and use the active range. So if we select the table that we want it to use, we can use active range and apply that. And now when we go back to Diceos, we'll see that it's replotted itself to just use the active range there. But the problem with that is that if I then go ahead and go somewhere else, then it no longer considers what it used to be as its active range, and now the new one, which is the single cell. So that's why you get this. So now we have the specify range in which you can put any range you like, and now that will be fixed and consider the table to be living in that area. So when we go back to the Diceos, you'll see it's picked up all the right stuff, and we can change the active cell, and this still remains fixed at whatever we set it to. So another change is sorting. What you get to see here is the formatted value. In other words, whatever format you've chosen to use in the sheet will be reflected here. Now the problem with that, of course, is that when you sort that, and you've got something like a date or some other unsortable thing, it's going to come out in the wrong order. And in the previous version of Diceos, it would have come out in that wrong order. It wouldn't have recognized that was a date. But nowadays, even though this is not alphabetically sorted, it is sorted by date, which is what you'd want to happen regardless of how you format the date over here. So that's a change, and of course the sorting reverse and forward works just as before. You'll notice there's a pause button now. So the purpose of that is if you have something like this, and let's just say that we only select rows that have got a volume of 400, and the trouble is if we start to edit that and make it something else, make it 10 or whatever, then that's going to disappear because of the filtering, and it may well be that we don't want that to happen. So one way is just to undo the hiding of that column. So now, even though we've got this filter on, it's undone the hiding of it, so you can go ahead and edit it now, and when you change it, it'll hide it again. So that's okay, but probably not optimal. So a better way is to use the pause button. So let's put that back to 400 again, and we'll do our filtering, and we'll start to edit this, but before we do, we'll go pause, and we'll make that 10. And because we've got the pause on, then it's not going to do the filtering yet. So we might want to change some other thing, and now we can go restart, and when we do, then it will go ahead and hide that row as it would have done if the pause hadn't been on. So that's quite useful to be able to do some editing on things that you've filtered without them coming and going. Now you'll notice on the settings there's a couple of new things. There's Pro Plan settings and your account. So Pro Plan is there's a Diceos Pro version that I'm going to deal with in another video shortly, which we'll go into in the details of all of that then. But there's also your account. So your account is normally for the Pro version, which isn't free, but it brings with it a whole bunch of new features. You'll notice that on these Diceos, there's some grayed out options. Those are the things that we can activate with the Pro version. So take a look at the Pro video to find out what's new on that. You'll be able to get the updated Diceos from the store. If you've already got it installed, it will update automatically. So if you want to read about this stuff in more detail, the links are on the screen, and you can find out how all this stuff gets built by taking a look at my book or my tutorial videos. in the links there. Hopefully you'll join me in the next video, which is going to be about the Daisos Pro version.